trying to do is nurture a sense of exploration and experimentation and just allowing children to develop their own sense of what creativity means to them.
Creativity means to me is to have fun, express yourself, go out of your comfort zone and do something that makes your mind go blank.
Creativity is like when you think of like kind of your own things and like kind of like embrace it.
It's like expressing yourself and being able to do what you want to do.
For me, it's kind of like you can use your imagination to do what you want.
Makes you have fun, makes you unable to think about anything, like life's challenges.
So our overarching question here in Nottingham is all about how we work to nurture children's creative capacities and their curiosity about the world. So that was the question that we started with.
The work that's been going on over the past 3 years has involved 12 primary schools across the city, and we've been working on the principle of artists or creative practitioners in residence. That's an important principle for the way in which we try to bring both the learning and the creativity together.
A way of understanding it is really beginning to get a sense of what teaching for creativity is, which is a definite distinction, isn't it, in terms of making sure that people are engaging in creative practice rather than arts practice or science practice, but it is determined by a whole range of pedagogies that support a more creative approach to teaching and learning.
I think in Nottingham what we really value about collaboration is recognising the diversity of the city. So we have such a rich cultural mix and so many opportunities for children from across the city and for professionals and colleagues across the city to really learn from each other and explore a whole range of different opportunities.
The way that the programme has developed the skills and experience of teachers has been a major part. They have been working alongside creative practitioners so that their skills and their experiences and their work in the classroom has been enhanced by those relationships.
So what I do as much as possible is work actually with the teachers, get to know the children, and then once I've got to know the children, to think about how we can work best together.
What's really nice for me is working with Jane as a professional artist. I've picked up a lot of tricks, skills from her and things that I've not necessarily been as confident with in my own teaching.
We did the print of the Great Fires of London.
We've been doing leaf rubbings and things like that.
It's helped me learn about history because I've been making pictures and learning these things.
We've taken the Anglo-Saxons and Vikings project, and rather than think of it week to week learning, we've created a whole play.
We've been doing lots of acting and lots of creativity, like making swords and shields. We've been learning about the Vikings and practicing a play show at grown-ups.
Usually when I go into school, I will just go in for one session, but it's been a lot of a different process, thinking about from week to week, what is that progression, weaving it more closely to the curriculum that they're learning. And I've really enjoyed being able to see the children's progression over the weeks.
The teachers have learnt so much along with the project because they've had the CPD time, they've had the creative practitioners in the classrooms, they've actually had that time to experiment themselves as well, which has given them the confidence.
Part of our CPD programmes are looking at outside practitioners, and that's been really helpful this year from some of those creative practitioners that have come in and have shared that CPD with us in areas that we don't feel as confident, and that's then upskilled our staff, given them confidence, and then they can then deliver it when they leave. And that takes financial budgeting and also time in your timetables to provide that for your staff. But the outcomes and the impact on children is completely worth it. So it's a real key part of the whole project, really.
For us, it's been about giving teachers and practitioners time. We've built into the project the opportunity for teachers and creative practitioners to sit down and talk about the sessions and go through what we call a reflective practice.
The opportunity to build relationships with the same children has been new for me, because I'm used to delivering workshops, but going in, parachuting in for a day, doing stuff and then leaving. But being able to return to the same children, get to know them, that's been really good.
What I've really enjoyed about working in the school is to belong somewhere. I think quite often we move around quite a lot and we don't get to know or have the opportunity to build up long-standing relationships. And I personally have really enjoyed becoming more embedded within the school.
Andy is a really good creative teacher. I feel like I've become more confident because when he came in, I was a bit nervous. He said a lot of good things that we can use for being confident, and I really liked it.
So morning break times, we have a lot of sporting opportunities on offer. After morning break time, all of the balls go away and it's just imaginative and creative play. As a staff, we needed a lot of training on how we were going to do that and how we'd manage that effectively. During children's 7 years at primary school, they spend 1.4 years of that time out on the playground playing, which is exactly the same amount of time that we spend doing English learning or maths learning, which we plan for in abundance. It made me question why don't we put that same emphasis on the play when it's as important to the children as their English and maths development.
When the children are given the freedom outside of the classroom, that helps them be less self-conscious in the classroom. So they're able to be creative with the writing, with storytelling, with narrative writing, and even with maths. That helps unlock their sense of curiosity.
It needs to be something that everyone can see the value of so that they will apply time to it. Because schools are really time pressured places, there's a lot of pressure on teachers' time, but if you allow for it to happen and structure it in such a way that you've got those possibilities, ultimately you'll learn things about the children that you didn't know.
When we're talking about teaching for creativity, it can involve quite a fundamental change of approach in the way that we learn. So it does require a whole school change, in my view, and that in turn is dependent on the leadership of the head teacher and the senior leadership team, so that the whole school embraces the idea that teaching for creativity is a major priority in the learning of children.
Teachers are really, really busy, and it's giving them the confidence really to try things, but they need support too, in that it needs a whole school approach. It's fantastic to have the head on board and the head wanting to use creativity more.
For me, one of the things that's really come across is the possibility that teachers are able to do amazing things when they're supported by their senior leadership team and their heads. Actually, things can be transformed within a school when creativity is embraced.
We try and engage the community as much as we can in what we're doing, and particularly the parents, because they're the people that are going to be taking their child's learning home and further in the future. So we try and do workshops with them, invite them in to come and spend some time with the artists that we have in.
My priority has been to spread creativity throughout the school day so that it's not its own separate standalone thing. It's more an approach to learning and something that the children can recognise happening in different parts of their curriculum.
In September, we decided to adopt the 5 habits of learning into our curriculum, and it's become the vision statement for our school. So all of our learning is now based on collaboration, imagination, inquisitiveness, being disciplined and persistent. So we still teach the same objectives from the national curriculum, but we're looking at those kinds of approaches in our teaching.
It's not only having people in and creative practitioners in and doing a bit of work and then they go and that's it. It's how can we use that now to go forward.
I think sustainability is key to everything. You know, we're not doing this for a tick box. It's not a 1 year and then we go back to our old ways. This has got to be us all moving in that direction.
As a consequence of this project, schools have been able to understand how they need to work to enable exploration and new things to happen in their school.
There are are many ways in which the programme, I think, can develop into the future. The relationship between schools and the other cultural providers in the city, I think, can be a key area for development. And I would love to see schools feeding into organisations that are part of the wider cultural landscape of the city.
What we're trying to do is engage schools to kind of have this commitment to embed creativity, a commitment to work with our arts professionals, a commitment to go out on visits and embrace all the things that are possible for them.
There's so much other stuff going on. There's so many things that are focused on the learning and the end product. I think it's hugely important for schools to find ways to embrace a little bit more chaos and creativity sometimes for children who need it.
The legacy is to allow the children to explore and experiment no matter what year group they're in. They don't need to be in nursery or reception. They need that time to play, create, explore, not be able to do it, to figure out that they can.
Some of the things we've been thinking about for carrying on include thinking through how we might be able to develop the relationship with creative practitioners in almost like a task force that schools can draw on going into the future and into the next 3 years. How do we harness that, all of that expertise and the energy that's been generated through this project so that schools and all of the people involved in this can disseminate it much wider across the whole city.
The future world for everybody is not about tick boxes and getting answers right all of the time. It's about interpersonal skills, risk-taking, learning from each other. Creativity fuels all of that, and it should be embedded throughout the curriculum.
So what we know about Teaching for Creativity over the last 3 years, that it has a huge impact on children's progress and development. What we need to do now is have an honest reflection about the barriers that head teachers face that prevent us doing this to the depth that we would like to. We need to think about the teacher training and what development they're getting about this approach to education, the curriculum design and expectations, the coverage that we are expected to get through, the assessment of pupils in various stages, and then also the Ofsted criteria. And unless we speak about that and talk about how that impacts creativity, we can't really embed it to the extent that we would like to. This is a really poignant moment. We could really change the future of education, and if we make this change now, it will have a real long-lasting impact on the development of our children and the future workforce and their skills to go on to be fantastic members of our society.